Chosen one, this Wednesday, August 26th, may become a quiet moment when God brings a hidden truth into the light, not as a spectacle, but as a revelation your spirit has been learning to recognize. You have felt the weight of carrying questions no one else could see, and you have wondered why certain answers seem to remain behind a closed door. Perhaps even now, there is a pressure beneath your ribs, a holy uneasiness that refuses to let you return to the person you were before this season began. The secret is not necessarily an event that everyone will witness. It may be the understanding that finally explains why the waiting, the distance, and the silence had to shape you first. On Wednesday, do not chase signs in panic or demand a dramatic confirmation, because recognition often arrives with the quietness of morning light touching the floor. What has been hidden may be revealed through a conversation, a conviction, a memory, or a sudden clarity about what you must no longer carry. And before you tell everyone what you sense, learn the difference between secrecy born of fear and discretion born of wisdom. If you have been trying to understand the season you are living, the secret calendar of the chosen was created to help you notice the patterns, pauses, and inner movements that are easy to dismiss when you are tired. It is not a promise that a specific result must happen on a specific day. It is a guide for meeting the moment with faith, clarity, and practical intention. You can find access through the pinned comment, where the next step is waiting for you. Let that resource become a quiet companion as you listen more carefully to what this revelation may be teaching you. The answer may not arrive with noise, but you will know it by the way it brings order to what once felt scattered. There is a reason the instruction feels so personal. Do not tell anyone. That sentence can sound severe until you understand that some revelations lose their strength when exposed before they have taken root in your character. You have probably experienced this before, when you shared a fragile hope and immediately felt the room change around it. Someone questioned it, someone minimized it, or someone placed their own fear on top of what was still forming inside you. Then you began defending a thing that God had only asked you to protect. The conflict is not always between truth and falsehood. Sometimes it is between what is true and what is timely. A seed is not dishonest because it remains under the soil. Joseph did not announce every dream to every person with equal wisdom, and his journey reminds you that revelation must be carried with maturity. This Wednesday may invite you to become quieter, not because you are ashamed, but because you are learning that sacred knowledge requires a steady heart. Think about the ordinary signs that have surrounded you lately. A door that seemed closed may have redirected your steps toward a place you would not have chosen. A delay may have exposed a motive you once mistook for love. A repeated thought may have returned whenever the room became quiet, asking you to examine what you have been avoiding. None of these things should be treated as automatic proof that a supernatural event is scheduled, yet together they may reveal the condition of your inner life. You have been noticing what drains you more quickly, which conversations leave a residue of confusion, and which decisions create a strange peace even when they require courage. The revelation may begin there. It may not tell you everything at once. It may simply show you the next honest step. When you wake on Wednesday, pay attention to the first truth you try to silence. It may be the very place where clarity is asking to enter. You have spent enough time assuming that your exhaustion means you are failing. Sometimes, exhaustion is the body's way of admitting that you have been carrying responsibilities that were never assigned to you. You answer messages while your own heart waits unattended. You reassure people who never ask how you are doing. You keep explaining your intentions to those who've already chosen a version of you that serves their comfort. Then, when God begins to reveal the secret beneath the season, you may feel sadness before relief, because clarity exposes how long you have lived divided. That sadness is not proof that you made the wrong choices. It may be the tenderness that comes when your inner life finally receives permission to tell the truth. If this Wednesday brings a realization, do not rush to turn it into an announcement. Let it settle. Let your breathing slow. Let your choices show whether the revelation has truly reached you. The listener who is prepared for revelation is not the one who has every answer. It is the one who can remain honest when an answer challenges a cherished expectation. You may discover that the secret is not only about what God is bringing toward you, but also about what He is removing from your dependence. Perhaps you have been asking for a new chapter while still needing the approval of people from the old one. Perhaps you have prayed for direction while keeping several escape routes open, each one designed to protect you from disappointment. The hidden truth may be that your next step requires less information and more obedience. That does not mean acting recklessly or ignoring wise counsel. It means refusing to use endless analysis as a disguise for fear. On Wednesday, clarity may arrive as a simple sentence that interrupts your usual argument with yourself. I already know what I must release. Marsh, when that sentence comes, listen without making it dramatic. There is a particular kind of loneliness that appears when your spirit recognizes a change before your surroundings do. You still sit at the same table, perform the same duties, and walk through the same rooms, but something inside you has crossed a boundary. Other people may continue speaking about your future as though nothing has shifted, while you feel that an old agreement has quietly expired. This can make you question yourself. You may ask whether you are becoming distant, ungrateful, or difficult. Yet growth often changes your tolerance for what once seemed normal. You begin to notice manipulation where you used to call it concern. You recognize avoidance where you once called it patience. You understand that peace is not always a warm feeling. Sometimes peace is the absence of the argument you finally stopped having. The secret may be revealed through this contrast, showing you not what to tell the crowd, but what no longer deserves access to your inner room. Your greatest temptation may be to prove that you received something meaningful. You may want to collect evidence, repeat the details, and search every reaction for agreement, but proof-seeking can turn a sacred recognition into a performance. The soul becomes tired when it keeps placing its private encounter on trial before people who were not present. This is why discretion matters. Silence gives you time to distinguish conviction from excitement, direction from impulse, and genuine peace from the temporary relief of having an answer. Ask yourself what the revelation produces in you. Does it make you more truthful, patient, responsible, and compassionate? Or does it make you feel superior, frantic, and eager to separate yourself from everyone else? God's truth does not need your panic to make it real. It can withstand a night of reflection. It can remain clear after the emotion has softened. This Wednesday, protect what is forming by refusing to make every insight public before it has taught you how to live. As you move toward that day, type the words 333 in the comments as a simple confirmation that you are willing to recognize what is being clarified, protect what is still forming, and return to the narration with a steady heart. This is not numerology or a formula for forcing an outcome. It is a small act of agreement with the discipline of attention. The secret will not become more true because you wrote a phrase, but your willingness to pause may help you notice what fear usually covers. And after you type it, come back to this moment and remember that revelation is not given to inflate your identity. It is given to refine your response. What you do with what you understand will matter more than how many people know that you understood it. The root of your struggle may be your fear of being wrong in front of others. You can endure uncertainty privately, but the thought of making a decision that people question can tighten your throat and send you back into hesitation. So you wait for universal agreement. You ask for one more sign, one more conversation, one more confirmation from someone who has never carried your exact assignment. Meanwhile, the quiet direction within you becomes harder to hear because the room is crowded with borrowed opinions. This does not mean every inner feeling is divine guidance. It means you must learn to examine your motives without surrendering your discernment. The secret revealed on Wednesday may be that you have been asking others to authorize a responsibility God has entrusted to your conscience. You do not need to be arrogant. You do need to become accountable for the truth you already recognize. There is also a hidden grief beneath your desire to know. You may believe that if God finally reveals the secret, you will never feel confused again. Yet some answers bring closure to one question while opening a deeper responsibility. You may learn why a relationship could not continue, but then you must grieve the future you imagined. You may understand why a delay protected you, but then you must forgive yourself for the years spent resisting it. You may recognize that a familiar opportunity was not your assignment, but then you must tolerate the emptiness before a better direction becomes visible. Revelation is not always a reward that removes all pain. Sometimes it is a lamp that shows you which pain can finally be faced without pretending. Let Wednesday be a marker of honest recognition rather than a demand that every circumstance change immediately. The secret may be the beginning of responsible freedom. If you want a clearer way to discern what this season is forming in you, the Secret Calendar of the Chosen offers reflections that connect spiritual awareness with practical decisions instead of vague anticipation. It can help you examine whether you are responding from fear, pressure, old conditioning, or a quieter form of faith that does not need to control every outcome. Many readers have found value in having a structured way to revisit the days when clarity appeared, especially when emotions made the pattern difficult to see. You can access it through the pinned comment and use it as a private tool for reflection, prayer, and intentional action. Let the calendar serve the transformation you are seeking, understanding your season, recognizing what waiting may be forming, and responding without rushing to announce what is still becoming clear. After you understand the root, the instruction to tell no one begins to sound different. It is not a command to isolate yourself from every wise person, nor is it permission to hide danger, abuse, illness, or a serious concern that requires support. Wisdom knows the difference between secrecy that protects growth and secrecy that protects harm. You may need one trustworthy person who can help you test your understanding without mocking it or exploiting it. But you do not need a crowd. You do not need to place your sacred question in the hands of people who have repeatedly mishandled your vulnerability. Choose counsel that makes you more honest, not more dependent. Choose voices that challenge your pride without crushing your hope. When God reveals something to you, the right response may be a journal, a quiet prayer, a careful decision, and a conversation with someone mature enough to hold what you share. Discretion is not loneliness. It is stewardship. You have been trained by a noisy world to believe that what is not announced does not exist. Every achievement is displayed, every emotion is narrated, and every private transition is pressured to become public content. But your deepest transformation may need a room where no one is watching. In that room, you can admit that the thing you called patience was sometimes fear. You can confess that the person you kept rescuing was also keeping you trapped. You can acknowledge that you are tired of being needed in ways that prevent you from being known. The secret may be revealed when you stop decorating the old story and allow its truth to stand plainly before you. It may be painful, but plain truth is easier to obey than a beautiful illusion. Your silence on Wednesday may become the first sign that you are no longer negotiating with what God has already made clear. There is a difference between receiving information and receiving understanding. Information tells you what happened. Understanding shows you what the event means and how your response must change. You may receive a message that confirms a suspicion, hear a sentence that explains a delay, or remember a detail that suddenly rearranges the whole story. Yet the revelation will remain incomplete if it only satisfies your curiosity. It must reach your habits. It must influence the way you speak, spend, forgive, rest, and choose. If you discover that a certain environment keeps your spirit confused, understanding may require a boundary. If you realize that your longing has been attached to an unhealthy person, understanding may require distance. If you see that your repeated disappointment comes from accepting promises without evidence, understanding may require patience. The secret does not merely answer why, it teaches what now. From this point, imagine your inner life as a sealed room with a window no one else can reach. Behind that window, something has been forming in darkness, protected from the weather of other people's opinions. You have felt the room as silence, delay, and unanswered prayer. But darkness has not meant abandonment. It has allowed your eyes to adjust. At first you could see nothing. Then faint outlines appeared. A boundary, a choice, a truth you had avoided. The hidden room is not a prison. It is a place where your perception is being trained before the door opens. On Wednesday, you may not receive a spectacle outside yourself. You may simply see what has been present all along. That recognition can be more disruptive than sudden news because it removes the excuse that you did not know. Once the outline becomes clear, you must decide whether you will keep living as though the room is empty. Inside this room, the first formation was patience, not passive waiting, and not the kind that makes you abandon responsibility, but the patience required to let reality become distinct. You have rushed before because uncertainty felt unbearable. You grabbed the first explanation, accepted the first invitation, or reopened the first door because standing still made you feel exposed. Yet some things cannot be recognized while you are running toward them. In the hidden room, your urgency has been slowed enough for false choices to lose their shine. You may notice that what once felt irresistible now feels strangely small. You may notice that silence no longer terrifies you as much as it used to. This is formation. The secret is becoming visible because your inner vision is becoming steadier. The room has not changed only around you. You have changed within it. The room also explains why certain pressures increased before clarity arrived. When a person has lived by noise, quiet can feel threatening. When a person has relied on approval, discernment can feel like rejection. When a person has made a habit of rescuing everyone, a healthy boundary can feel like cruelty. Opposition does not always arrive as an obvious enemy. Sometimes it appears as an old thought returning with a familiar voice. You are selfish. You are late. You will lose everything if you stop. That voice may know your history, but it does not get to define your future. As Wednesday approaches, do not measure the truth of your direction by the intensity of resistance. A door can be right, even when leaving through it makes your legs shake. The hidden room has taught you to recognize the difference between danger and discomfort. That distinction will protect your next step. Then movement begins. The window that once showed only darkness admits a thin line of morning. You do not see the whole landscape, but you see enough to stop circling the same question. A small clarity moves across the room and touches the object you have been avoiding. Perhaps it is an application you need to finish, an apology you need to make, a boundary you need to state, or a habit you need to release. The revelation becomes practical when it gives your feet somewhere to go. You may still feel grief. You may still wish for more details. But movement is not the absence of uncertainty. It is the decision to obey the light you have received. On Wednesday, let the next visible step be enough for that day. You do not have to possess the entire map to walk faithfully toward what has become clear. And when recognition finally arrives, it may feel less like discovering a foreign secret and more like remembering your own name. You will understand why certain invitations never settled well, why certain friendships required you to shrink, and why some delays preserved you from becoming successful in the wrong direction. The hidden room held a truth you were not ready to carry before. Now the truth has gained weight, but you have gained strength. This is why you must not rush to tell everyone. A newly recognized truth can still be vulnerable. Give it time to become conduct. Let your changed response speak before your explanation does. The person who once argued for every boundary may quietly stop arguing. The person who once chased every door may calmly wait for the right one. That is how the secret proves its usefulness, not through spectacle, but through a life that no longer betrays what it has understood. If these words are meeting a place in you that has been waiting for permission to become honest, type, "I am awake," and return to the narration. Those words are not a claim that you understand everything, and they are not a wish meant to force a revelation. They are a simple acknowledgement that you are willing to notice what has been quietly forming within you. The room is not opened by pressure. It is opened by readiness. As you move forward, remember that the light may first reveal your responsibility before it reveals your reward. That is not punishment. It is preparation. What you are shown on Wednesday may ask you to make one faithful adjustment before it gives you a wider view. Now return to yourself without performance. You are not required to become mysterious, distant, or superior because you sense that God is doing a private work. You can remain kind without being available to every demand. You can remain humble without pretending that you have no discernment. You can love people without giving them authority over every decision. The secret revealed to you may be an invitation to recover the boundary between compassion and self-abandonment. That boundary can feel uncomfortable if you have built your identity around being the one who absorbs every crisis. Yet love becomes cleaner when it is no longer driven by fear. On Wednesday, ask not only, "What is God showing me?" Ask also, "What kind of person must I become to carry this truth well?" The second question will take you deeper than the first. Your first practice is simple. Create a quiet interval before you respond. When the message arrives, the thought returns, or the realization becomes strong, do not answer from the first wave of emotion. Put both feet on the floor, breathe slowly, name what you know, what you assume, and what you still do not know. This small separation can protect you from turning a moment of clarity into a sudden decision you later regret. Write the central truth in one sentence without adding a prediction. Then write the next responsible action beneath it. If the truth is that a relationship has become unhealthy, the action may be a boundary and wise support. If the truth is that an opportunity requires preparation, the action may be disciplined work. If the truth is that you have been avoiding rest, the action may be an honest pause. Clarity becomes trustworthy when it can survive a calm examination. Your second practice is to keep the revelation close to obedience rather than imagination. Do not spend the whole day creating scenes about how others will react when they discover what you know. Do not rehearse victories that depend on people finally admitting they underestimated you. That fantasy can become another form of captivity. Instead, ask what can be done quietly, faithfully, and without applause. Make the call. Finish the task. Remove the object that keeps pulling you backward. Tell the truth without adding a weapon to it. Refuse the invitation that violates your peace. Rest when your body is asking for care. These actions may look ordinary, but ordinary obedience is often where spiritual maturity becomes visible. The revelation does not need a dramatic stage. It needs a willing life. You may also need to forgive yourself for not recognizing the secret sooner. Hindsight can be cruel when it turns every past confusion into evidence that you should have known better. But you were learning with the light available at that time. You were making decisions from the strength, knowledge, and emotional capacity you had then. This does not erase consequences, but it changes the way you carry them. Shame says, You are the mistake. Wisdom says, you made a mistake and now you can respond differently. On Wednesday, let revelation correct you without humiliating you. A hidden truth is not given so you can build a courtroom inside your mind. It is given so you can stop repeating what wounded you. The most honest apology may be the decision not to return to the pattern that required it. The people around you may not understand the quiet change taking place. Some may interpret your restraint as coldness because they were accustomed to your immediate access. Some may call your boundaries selfish because they benefited from your exhaustion. Others may not notice anything at all, and that can hurt more than criticism. You may wish someone would see the courage it took to stop explaining yourself. But not every transformation receives witnesses. There are seasons in which God teaches you to do what is right without the emotional reward of being recognized. Let that be enough for now. You are not becoming less loving because you no longer make your wounds available for inspection. You are learning to love from wholeness instead of desperation. The secret may be that your life does not need to be understood by everyone in order to be faithfully lived. When the revelation settles, you will see that the command not to tell anyone was also a command not to betray yourself for immediate relief. You have sometimes spoken too soon because being understood felt like survival. You exposed your plans, your pain, and your hopes to people who had not earned the right to carry them. Then their reaction became a new authority over your peace. This time, let your inner agreement come before public explanation. You can share later if sharing serves truth, safety, or love. You can remain silent now if silence gives wisdom room to mature. The secret is not meant to make you suspicious of everyone. It is meant to teach you discernment about access. Not every person who asks deserves an answer. Not every question requires your entire story. Your peace can have a door. If someone came to mind while you were hearing this, share the message with that person as an act of care, especially if they are sincere, tired from carrying hidden questions and trying to remain faithful without being understood. Do not share it to pressure them or to make them accept your interpretation. Share it as a gentle delivery of encouragement, then allow them to receive it in their own way. Sometimes a person does not need a lecture. They need to know that their quiet struggle has language. Your care can be simple and respectful. The secret God is revealing in your own life should make you more attentive to another person's vulnerability, not more eager to control their response. There will come a moment when you realize that the revelation did not separate you from God's care. It returned you to it. The waiting had made you suspicious of silence, but now you can